UK government resumes row with Apple by demanding access to British users' data. A new access order by the Home Office would seek access to the tech company's encrypted cloud backups. If you've been following the channel for the past couple of months, you may have seen that Apple have gone head to head with the British government about their encrypted data. And for those that haven't been following along, I'll give you the cliff notes. The British government sent a secret access order to Apple, informing them that the British government demands access to British users' data stored by Apple. Essentially, when you send an iMessage that is encrypted, the UK government want backdoor access to all the encryption keys to be able to access not only iCloud backups but iMessages and pretty much anything that's stored on your Apple account. Now, Apple have been fighting back against this, which is a rare Apple win, but Apple have been fighting back against this, and for the past couple of weeks it's been relatively quiet until today. Now, the only reason we know about this is because Apple fought back. If Apple had complied, we probably still wouldn't know about this today. It's only because Apple took the British government to court that this became public knowledge, because essentially there was a gag order on Apple to not talk about this. And to be clear, Apple are going against the British government, but imagine all the other companies that the British government have sent these access requests to that haven't fought back. The more you think about it, the worse it gets. The UK government has renewed its confrontation with Apple over access to customer data by demanding a backdoor into the tech company's cloud storage services, targeting British users only. The Home Office had previously sought to access data on Apple's Advanced Data Protection Service uploaded by any user around the world, triggering a clash with the White House. The Financial Times reported on Wednesday that the government has returned with a new access order called a Technical Capability Notice, seeking access to the encrypted cloud backups of British citizens. A Home Office spokesperson said the department did not comment on any operational matters, including confirming or denying the existence of any such notices. So just pretend it doesn't exist. The spokesperson added, "We will always take all actions necessary at the domestic level to keep UK citizens safe." Okay, alright. So when Apple received that first notice from the British government, obviously this one's the second notice, but when they received the first one back in February, Apple withdrew the feature from British users. So essentially, if you want to now encrypt your iCloud, you can't. However, if your iCloud was currently encrypted, at the moment, I believe, and I've heard multiple reports on this, I believe at the moment it's okay whilst Apple are fighting back against this, but they've pulled the service to stop new people from being able to encrypt their iCloud data. But the encryption settings, by the way, were something that you had to turn on, so most of you probably don't have encrypted iClouds. Yes, the government can access it. But if you don't want the government accessing your browsing activity, you can check out Private Internet Access at the link down below. Private Internet Access is a VPN that doesn't keep any logs and respects your personal privacy. Many services in the UK, things like Netflix, are quite restricted, and many of these services have better content in other countries. So I like to use the American Netflix. I just switch my VPN over to the US and I watch American content. The same thing applies to internet restrictions. Some websites may not be available in the UK for whatever reason that might be. And rather than jumping on a flight to the other side of the world to access a website, you can just use Private Internet Access. Not only does it help make you more safe and more secure, it's also really affordable, and by using my link down below, you can get yourselves 4 months free and 86% off. Let's get back to the article, because this is juicy stuff. Apple withdrew ADP for new users in the UK in February and said that existing users would need to disable the security feature at a later date. Messaging services such as iMessage and FaceTime remain end-to-end encrypted by default. So at the moment, they are encrypted, but if Apple lose this, they will have to basically give the British government a backdoor, so your text messages will be accessible. And by the way, just to be clear, a lot of people are talking about WhatsApp. I see you in the comments. I see you. The same thing's been sent to WhatsApp as well, and there's been some ongoing things with Meta versus the UK government, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that in the coming weeks, or maybe even sooner. Tulsi Gabbard, the US Director of National Intelligence, said in August that the UK had backed down on demanding access to US customer data. Donald Trump had described the access demand as something that you hear about with China, which is completely on the money because, I mean, there's no other way to look at this. It's wild. Apple did not comment on the FT report directly, but said it was gravely disappointed that it could not offer ADP, an optional extra layer of security to UK customers, and reiterated that it would never build a backdoor into its products. Like I said before, and we have spoken about this in previous videos, it's rare that I will big up big tech in the way that I have been recently. When you've got big tech companies actually fighting for our own liberties in countries that they're not even based in more than our own government is, you've got to kind of tip your hat to that and appreciate it, because Yeah, this is wild. Like, our privacy at the moment is in the hands of Apple. That's not a good situation. Apple remains committed to offering our users the highest level of security for their personal data and are hopeful that we'll be able to do so in the future in the United Kingdom. As we've said many times before, we've never built a backdoor or master key to any of our products or services, and we never will, which is good to hear. Apple had appealed against the first TCN via the Investigatory Powers Tribunal, which investigates whether the domestic intelligence services have acted unlawfully. The Home Office had sought to keep details of the case under wraps, but after a judgment in April, some information was released for the first time confirming Apple's appeal. Which, by the way, the UK government are still in a position to deny this exists, well, not confirm nor deny it exists, whilst it's going through the legal system in the UK publicly. Just admit it exists. The only reason the government won't admit it exists is because they know how bad it is. However, details of the TCN were not revealed, and under the Investigatory Powers Act, recipients of such a notice are not allowed to reveal its existence. The FT has reported that the original TCN was not limited to data stored under ADP, indicating the UK government wanted to access the basic and more widely used iCloud service. The ADP service uses end-to-end encryption, a form of security that means that only the account holder can decrypt files such as documents and photos. No one else can, including Apple. Privacy International, a charity that launched a legal challenge against the first TCN, said the new order may be just as big a threat to worldwide security and privacy as the old one. It said if Apple is forced to break end-to-end encryption in the UK, it will in effect break it for everyone by creating vulnerability in its systems. Now, of course, a large percentage of the world use iPhones. It is just a common phone for people to have. So when it comes to the UK population, we're talking about a majority share of the British population will be vulnerable by this. And it's not just about whether you have an iPhone now. If you've ever owned a thing like a MacBook or an iPad or an Apple Watch or even AirPods, like your account data that's linked to your iCloud, for example, if you use things like Find My app to track AirPods, all of this stuff falls under the remit of what the UK government is trying to access. And when we talk about the data that's on those accounts, it's so wide ranging, from your text messages to your photos, to your purchases, to your Apple Wallet banking apps, to the location data. Like, we don't know what the government is requesting access to, but the fact that requesting access to account holder and account details, that would go on to confirm that they'll have access to all of this information. Our phones are an incredibly powerful tool, but when exploited by people like governments, they're probably one of the most dangerous things for us to have. And we shouldn't boycott our phones. I know some people do, and I've seen it in the comments that people don't use their phones or whatever, and that's absolutely fine. But you're restricting your own freedom and liberties for the sake of the government. So by doing that, you are enabling the government to win. I'm hoping that Apple can fight this at its core so we can enjoy our phones. We can doom scroll whatever apps we want to doom scroll, and we can do whatever we want with our phones without government intervention, because that's what we should be striving for. We should be striving for a way to adapt our lives where the government can't intervene. We should be able to live our lives how we want, buy whatever we want, do whatever we want, with the government not intervening in the first place. And that's where we need to tackle this at the root issue, and I'm hoping that Apple can be the first step towards that happening. But we'll just have to wait and see. Make sure you check out private internet access at the link down below, and if you did enjoy today's video, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I shall see you all in the next one.